Let's go to line number one and say good morning to one of the gentlemen vying to be the leader of the PC party and de facto the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, Mr. Frank Coleman. Good morning, Mr. Coleman. You're on the air.
How you doing, Patty?
Very well, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning. How are you?
Good. I'm a first-time caller. It won't be the last, I suspect.
No, I don't imagine it will be. I don't imagine it will be. Mr. Coleman, you've been noticeably much more quiet than Mr. Barry or the past member of the trio, Mr. Bennett. What's the strategy behind being what people see or perceive as being very quiet up to now?
Well, look, we haven't really been that quiet. I got out late into this campaign. I think I was the last one to enter the day before the deadline. And so, Bill had and probably Wayne Bennett had a lot of other things started and in the loop. But we've made great progress in the last couple of weeks. We've got a headquarters up and running. Finance committee is working. We've talked and met the caucus. And this is about meeting the PC family too, right? This is about convincing them that I'm the right guy for the job. And, I've called all the members of the provincial executive. We've had two key delegate meetings in Topsail and Trinity North. And we think we've had great success there. And out of a potential of about 85 supporters, we think we got about 75 of them. So, that speaks for itself. I think we're getting there. I admit we're not, maybe not as loud as Bill, but we're being certainly more effective.
When it comes to achieving the goal of being the PC leader, of course, you're speaking to a very captive audience, just elected delegates who get the invitation to the convention. But then, of course, whoever the winner is will have to sell himself and the party once again to the general electorate in 2015. When it comes to that fine point, I think the PCs, or the wide perception is that they see the pressure, they feel the pressure based on the polls. They've changed some of their approach to have some of these reviews and otherwise. And when you come out and say that all things are good and things are rosy and the PC party is doing all the right things and things have never been better, somehow that flies in the face of what the electorate thinks en masse. How do you make that message more sellable to the people who don't think the PCs are the right party anymore?
Look, first of all, I have not said that, everything is rosy. Any statement I've made has always indicated that, look, I want to bring a wave of change to the PC party, and that's why I'm here. I don't want to go back in time. I don't want to go back to, the times when unemployment rates were where they were. And in the past 10 years, there has been great progress. We have to celebrate the fact that our employment rates are higher than they have ever been, that our unemployment rates are lower than they've ever been, and that our investment is at $11 billion, a level that we've seemed to have sustained. In fact, $11 billion, just to give you an idea, is probably more than if you add up all the other maritime provinces that only come to about half of what we do. So, there are great things that this past PC party has done. They've attended to, long-term health care. They've built hospitals. They've built schools. They've done a whole series of things. So, you can't say those things are bad. But what you can say is that, the public, maybe we're not resonating with the public like we should be. And I want to change that. But, even in saying that, I'll say this, that Marshall has done a remarkable job of pulling this public opinion back by listening to what has been said. And, I have to give credit to him. He's done an incredible job in, saying to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, look, you're telling us you're not happy. You're telling us we're not listening, and by jumpins, we're going to listen. So, I think, that is a big change. I don't think it's cynical. I don't think it speaks to not listening, and I think the PC party will be the governing party in 2015 and beyond.
And as a business person and your understanding of the bottom line and how debt affects your ability to do business, provide the services people demand, you must be troubled with the level of debt, and that includes the borrowing of another additional $1 billion today. That included with the concept of the unfunded liabilities and the pension plan. There's a lot of work to be done, and people will say that points to the predicament that the PCs have put us in. It's a hard one to dissuade people from their opinion on that one. So as a business person, your level of concern with debt, and how can it be attributed to anybody but the Progressive Conservatives?
Well, look, the single biggest piece of the outstanding debt the piece that relates to the unfunded pension liability and the health benefits associated with public servants. And that was not created in the last 6 years. So, if you've got 70 to 80% of your overall debt that is attributed to those unfunded pension liabilities and those commitments with respect to benefits, then, I can tell you that is not just a commitment that was made in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's a commitment that's been made by successive governments, and all those governments have contributed to that problem. But what is more important, Patty, is that this PC party is the only party in recent times that have put in excess of $3 billion or $3.5 billion towards that debt. And I don't know that any other government has done that. But it does need to be addressed. It does need to be dealt with. It is a serious matter. I've said that several times. And, to wrestle that one to the ground, successive governments have found that a struggle, and it isn't going to be easy. And I'm not going to tell you here right now that I got the magic bullet, but I can tell you that you do need to sit down with everybody, the actuaries, the consultants, the people that are affected, and you need to figure out a way to get this done.
When it comes to the debt, it also has to speak to the diversification of the economy and new jobs created that are not the same old jobs we've relied on, including the newfound wealth from offshore oil in particular. That's where the Liberals are beginning to hammer the PCs to look for details, even though they've offered very few themselves. Your opinion, sir, on how we actually diversify, because that is the trickiest balance in front of government today, to create a job when government's job, in my own opinion, is to create the atmosphere where people like yourself and other entrepreneurs can create a job. How do you make a certain change? Because that's pretty much a rural Newfoundland question.
Look, I'm really excited about this possibility of me becoming leader. First of all, let me say that. Second thing is that diversification is an absolute necessity. But you can't just, when you get strong in like if you're a weightlifter and you're exercising one arm and you're only lifting that weight in that arm, well, you get strong on one arm.
Right.
And the fact is that isn't a negative, it's a strength. And you have to exercise the other arm. And I think we have sectors like mining and like the fishery and like the electrical and energy warehouse strategy that this government has built is that exercise. It's us balancing our economy. And I don't get this criticism that, look, yes, the oil sector right now is critical to our revenue. If we change the price of oil by $1, it affects our revenue by about $27 million. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it does affect us in a serious way. But that doesn't mean that's a negative. It means that we just got to work hard to get, these iron ore developments in Labrador working. We have to be absolutely conducive to seeing exploration and development occur in Labrador and on the island of Newfoundland and Labrador. And we need to see that if we can help these developments occur by the provision of electrical energy, the provision of adequate labor to do these projects, that we'll see a real diversification in our economy. And, I read somewhere, it may have been by the economist Wade Locke at Memorial University, that if, in fact, we get this mining development, these mining developments in Labrador off the ground, it could contribute, somewhere between $500 and $700 million by the time they're fully developed into the provincial coffers of the island, of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. So there you go.
Well, and then, of course, add the volatility of the Canadian dollar and how that impacts revenues based on oil. And you've got some of the effects that we have very little control over. Mr. Coleman, quick comment. Our next caller is Earl McCurdy. We're going to talk about the shrimp quota cuts. That relationship with Ottawa, we've been up, we've been down. We've tried the harsh approach, the hardcore approach. We've tried the honey as opposed to vinegar approach. But we're getting very little satisfaction on the fishery issues so far as quota management goes, and certainly the distribution. What do we do about it? Is it hard line required, or is there a negotiation, a process or a ploy that you would take to hopefully better serve our fishermen in particular?
Look, this shrimp quota allocation, I've made a statement this week that I think it's very, very unfair to the inshore sector, to both the fisher people and the processors, and the majority of the people in that fishery, Patty, only have access to the shrimp fishing areas 6 and 7. In fact, I think 7 was only opened in the year 2000. So I don't understand how this LIFO policy, and I certainly don't agree with it, I don't understand it, how it kind of became the gold standard for allocating shrimp quotas when it never really was the gold standard. It just sort of evolved as some, convenient explanation for DFO to allocate quotas. That being said, I think that, this is a serious issue. This affects a lot of people, a lot of families. I am totally empathetic with that. I'm totally empathetic with the fact that these people are unhappy. And, I think that, every course of action should be pursued to convince DFO that this needs to be looked at.
Yeah, because then the next conversation comes from that, if they stick to their guns, is transitional dollars and to pick up the slack where we've lost quota. We don't have enough time to get into all that today, Mr. Coleman, but as you say, I'm pretty sure we'll have conversations on this issue and many more in the days, weeks to come. Good luck on the campaign trail in your quest to be the leader of the PC party. I'm sure we'll speak more in the future.
Thanks, Patty.
Appreciate your time.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Frank Coleman is running to be the PC leader.